The latest Dandy's World update is jam-packed with a bunch of new content like the new toon Blot and even a brand new map. But something else added to this update that I am equally, if not more excited about is the lore implications. And I'm not just talking about the animated tape that they added to V's map, which we will talk about later. But there's a couple other things from this update that I've noticed and I want to bring it to your attention. This is not necessarily a theory. I just wanted to point some things out to you and maybe together we can craft a theory, or maybe none of this stuff is important at all. I just want your opinion. So drip some ichor on that like button and let's get started. If you guys remember, Twisted Blot on the floor will reach his hand down into a puddle of ichor and bring it up somewhere randomly in the map, very giant and huge, and will attack you with it. But I want to draw your attention to his hand, specifically the shape of his hand. Blot is not the only Twisted that has this black spiky fingered hand situation going on. If you'll remember, Bassie from the Easter update also has this kind of spiky finger hand situation going on. Same thing goes for Twisted Cosmo, and you'll also see it with Twisted Sprout as well. But the one Twisted that actually started making me question everything that also has this spiky looking hand is Twisted Gigi. The only difference with Gigi is the spiky hand is reaching out of her gacha capsule. The reason this made me start questioning things is, as you guys know, when Gigi uses her ability, she pulls a random item out of her head, and there's nothing in her head, so there's some sort of deep, never-ending void within her skull. That's a really weird way to put that. I don't know, maybe it's more like a black hole situation. She pulls random items out of somewhere, and when she is twisted, a spiky ichor-covered arm is what's coming out of that same black hole abyss, whatever it is. Now, I'm not saying anything definitively, but I just think it's interesting that Twisted Blot is able to put his hand underground and really just, there is no rules under there. It's just like maybe some sort of twisted void world that then he can control and bring his arm up somewhere else. And that could also be where the arm that Twisted Gigi has coming out of her head, maybe that's where that's coming from too. I don't know exactly, but I just know that in these types of games with all of these lore elements, nothing doesn't matter. Everything matters. And the fact that not every Twisted has this sort of spiky hand arm, and the fact that Blot is clearly able to control it so much differently than the other toons, and the fact that Gigi has one coming out of her head black hole, I just thought that was interesting. The next thing I wanted to talk about that I also find extremely interesting is look at Twisted Blot's eye. You see how his pupil is shaped just a little bit weird? All the other Twisteds have some sort of uniform shape to their pupils. You got filled in circles like Brightney, or you got hollow circles like Connie, but they're all either circles or this sort of cat eye look right here, like Ginger has. But Blot's here is a unique, different shape. Now, this could very easily be just because he's like a melting character. So because he's like made out of ink or ichor or whatever it is he's made out of, it could very easily mean nothing. However, there is actually one more Twisted that has a different shaped pupil than any of the rest of them. And that Twisted, my friends, is Gigi. Gigi's pupils look like stars. They look completely different. Again, I'm not saying anything. I'm just pointing it out. Just wanted to just throw that out there in the world. Maybe I'm reading too much into this, but it just feels to me like there's a connection. The arm, the spiky hands, the eyes, I don't know. It just, I can't sleep at night. Okay, let's talk about this V stuff. In a small back room of the brand new V's game show map, you will find a television that plays an animation that is absolutely jam-packed with lore. Huge shout out to Fresh Bear on YouTube, who actually was able to get a full screen version of this animation. You're amazing. Let's rewatch this entire animation together. This is between Veronica and V. Veronica is V's toon handler. Did you hear the news from Delilah and Arthur? There are plans for V version 2. Do I really need an upgrade? I'm almost as recognizable as Dandy. Kids love the trivia games, the prizes. No other toons will deal with this. What will change? I'm more than my code. Ugh, Veronica, are you even listening? You're always so silent, and we can try and change their mind. I'll help, V, best I can. Thanks. All right, so first of all, we need to point out that the date this was recorded was May 12th, 2002. And we know from the city newspaper that the Garden View Educational Center is to shut its doors on 6/29, which this article came out in 2002. So this recording took place just over a month before the entire shutdown of the Garden View Center. So Veronica comes up to V and is like, hey, did you hear the news? You're not good enough anymore. Could you imagine being V sitting there like, wait, What? There are plans for a V version 2. And V is like, wait, do I really need an upgrade? What's wrong with me? You can tell she does not look too happy about it. Now, of course, we don't know exactly what is meant here by upgrade. However, the next line is actually pretty telling to me because she says, I'm almost as recognizable as Dandy. Kids love trivia games. The prizes. So the fact that Veronica said there's gonna be a V version 2, and then V says, I'm almost as recognizable as Dandy, kind of makes me think that V assumes it's gonna also include a visual upgrade. Because if it was just a software upgrade, I don't think she would be as concerned to say, well, but I'm just as recognizable as Dandy. So we don't know for sure, but it really seems to me like this is gonna be a visual upgrade and maybe a software upgrade too. Just an upgrade in general, because she's concerned about they might not recognize her anymore. And then in the next line, she said, no other tunes will deal with this. What will change? I'm more than my code. So in this line, she's talking about a visual change that she thinks might happen. And then in the next line, she's saying she's more than her code, and her code is more of her internal her software. Can we just talk for a second about Veronica, V's tune handler, and how sweet she is? V says in this line right here, Veronica, are you even listening? You're always so silent. And we know from previous pictures of Veronica that she always looks really timid and reserved. But as soon as she notices how troubled V is by all this, she just goes over there and gives a little pat, pat, pat. Just a little pat on the head. She may not have a way of words, but that doesn't mean she doesn't have a big heart. Even V is really caught off guard by this. She just gets a big question mark on her screen. That kind of makes me think like this is a little bit out of character for Veronica, for her to go and give her a pat, because she's like, wait, what the heck is going on? But I just thought it was really sweet. And then she said, we can try and change their mind. I'll help V best I can. Round of applause for Veronica. Thank you for caring. But anyway, I find it very interesting that there is plans for a V version 2 that Veronica is telling V just about 1 month before the shutdown of the Garden View Center. And if you remember, the Garden View Center was shut down because of a malfunction incident. So did V version 2 malfunction and cause an incident? You tell me. Also, if V is getting a version 2, that doesn't necessarily mean that all the other tunes won't also potentially get a version 2 as well. V does say in this line, no other tunes will deal with this, but also it doesn't seem like V is really dealing with it either. So it's also possible that every single tune is maybe gonna get a V2, and that is the overall cause of the malfunction incident. Either way, this is all very exciting, and I cannot wait for the continuation of this lore inside of this game. This is way too fun. I am currently working on crafting a theory revolving all of these things that I've mentioned today. Some of them might mean nothing. Some of them might be literally the pinnacle of everything, but I don't know. But I need you guys' help. I want you guys to let me know. Am I wasting time by looking into things? Am I looking into things too much? I need your help, guys. Let me know down in the comments. Anyway, that's gonna do it for today's video. I hope you guys did enjoy. If you did, please leave a like rating down below. Subscribe if you're not subscribed yet. And if you want to see more videos from me, go and check out the video that Blot is looking at right now. That is the video that I play Dandy's World. Almost guaranteed Dandy's World right there. He's even pulling the video right towards him because it was such a good video. So you should definitely go check it out. I hope you all have a fantastic rest of your day. I will see you all in the next video.